Have you tried serving faster and faster and faster and you're not getting any more joy? Well, maybe you need to develop your slice serve. Coming up, I have 5 tips to make your slice serve far more effective and hopefully get you some wins. Hi, Ben from PH Tennis here, and today I'm going to be giving you 5 tips to make your slice serve a little bit more effective, that little bit more slicey. Now, the slice serve is maybe a little bit unfashionable these days. You don't see it so much on the tour, and I think that's essentially because you can't get away with just pure slice anymore. So this isn't how to slice serve, this is how to add more slice to your serve. Now, you don't have to do this, but a lot of our players, and we teach a lot of our players, to sort of blend the serves together. So rather than going for a full, I've got a flat serve, a slice serve, and a kick serve, why not sort of combo them up a little bit? Add a little bit of slice to your flat serve, have a little bit of speed to your kick. That way you can kind of keep your opponent off balance and essentially learn the full variety of the manipulations that you can have around the ball, giving you an infinite number of serves to use. But enough of all that, today is about slice. So I'm going to give you 5 tips, some of which you will have heard before, some of which will be a reframing of things you've heard before, and that's important because what we do at PH Tennis is we try and teach you as quickly and as effectively and as efficiently as possible. So sometimes one word is all it takes, especially when we start talking about sensations, and sometimes one picture, one sort of mental image that I can conjure up will make all the difference to you. So keep your mind open, and if you hear something you like, get on court and give it a try, and those little tweaks are what we're going for. Just little tips that might just change your slice serve from something you don't like doing to a perfect weapon. So without further ado, tip number 1 coming up. So let's get started with a PH favorite. And for those of you who've watched our videos before, we are going to talk about sensations. Now, a sensation is another word for a shot or a skill. But the reason we use sensations here at PH Tennis is because they delve deep into your brain and help you learn much quicker and much more efficiently. Now, what is a sensation? Well, the sensation is essentially what it feels like when you play a particular shot. For a bit of contrast, a first serve is going to be a heavy hit, a slam, a crack, a whip, something big and fast and powerful. As soon as we want to change to a slice serve, we want to take some of that energy out of the speed and add it into the slice. So rather than coming straight through the ball, the racket comes around, and because we're coming around, we need to change the sensation to something a little bit more like a cut or a chop, a glance. The reason we use that word is because you know what that means already. If you toss a ball up in the air and rather than hitting it, you try and cut it or slide the racket past it, your cerebellum, deep part of your brain, has already encoded that movement into your nervous system because you may have done it in numerous other places. You might have done it in another sport, or even you can just feel it on your hands. That's a hit, that's a slide, that's a glance, that's a cut. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make learning this slice serve quick and easy. So for a bit more slice, don't do anything different, but just think when you toss that ball up, I'm going to cut the ball. Sensations, very powerful, very quick, very easy. That's why it's tip number 1. Tip number 2 on your slice serve is a little bit of a giveaway, and you're going to see a bit of a pattern emerging in these tips. We're going to essentially give our opponents a bit of a clue about what we're doing, but this isn't hide your slice serve, this is get more slice. The easiest way to get more slice, once you've got your sensation sorted, we're going to pop the ball a little bit wider so our racket is forced to come around for the serve. As soon as your racket is traveling straight at the ball, you're going to turn all of your power, all of your energy is going to be converted into straight up speed. When we're playing a slice serve, the sensation is going to take some of that speed away, but the other thing we need to do is just use essentially physics and mechanics to take some of our flat power and turn it into a combo of speed and spin. Ball toss a little bit wider, contact point a little bit wider is going to help you just turn some of your energy into that rotational, that cutting force that we need. Problem, the opponent may well see it coming, however, it's very late on in the motion. It might be so quick they don't have time to react, and maybe even if they do know it's coming, they can't do anything about it anyway. So if you want more slice, problem 1 is getting more slice. Problem 2 is your opponent reading it. We don't need to worry about that just yet. Get that ball a little bit wider, get that contact point a bit wider, get more slice. Happy days. Right, tip number 3 is about where on the ball you are making contact. We've got a nice sensation, we've moved the ball toss and the contact point slightly, so the last element to this is just making sure we're getting the right part of the ball. One of the most common mistakes we see is players coming here next to the ball, and actually what we're trying to do is come up over this top edge, top corner. Do you have a corner on a sphere? Probably not. So how can we make this easy to understand? A lot of coaches will tell you to serve between 1 and 2 o'clock or 2, 3 o'clock. And if that works for you, that's absolutely fantastic. What we quite like to use, because it transitions very nicely into other serves, is the globe. So presuming we take the Anglo-centric globe, that is the UK up there at the top in the middle, we want to be making contact with Japan. That is that top right corner. Japan, maybe a little bit of Eastern Russia, very right at the top. Vladivostok is actually the town over there. And that's just going to make sure we're keeping the racket above the ball. As soon as we keep the racket above the ball, we're still going to get the trajectory we want, which is obviously the ball traveling down towards the diagonal box. The more over you come, the flatter the serve will get. The more round the side you come, the more slice you will get. It's not a hard and fast rule. If Japan doesn't work for you, come down a little bit further into the mid-Pacific, Philippines, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea maybe. We might be sliding a little bit too low now, but it's going to depend on you, your height, your racket, your intention, and everything else that goes with it. So just play around with the contact point till you find the one that gives you the most slice. But if in doubt, top right of the ball, 2 o'clock or Japan is going to be the perfect contact point for you. Tip number 4 to get more slice on your serve is all about court position. There is one big drawback, we'll get to that in a second, but essentially if you stand wider on the tee, you're going to open up a bit of angle on the court, which is going to allow you to just slide or cut whatever sensation you're using, that ball across the court and essentially use direction to give you a little bit more. As soon as you stand wider, you are obviously telegraphing to your opponent what's going to come next. You're giving them a very big clue about what you're intending to do, but like any other tactic in tennis, just because they know you're doing it doesn't mean they can stop it. They've still got to go to where your ball's gone, and if you can do this and open the court right up, you're going to have a nice easy second shot anyway. So for an easy way to get a little bit more slice, just stand wider on the tee and send that ball right across, out nice and wide. Tip number 5 is a little bit of a trick. This isn't actually how to get more slice, but it's how to get away with a little bit less. And it's all about when you use your slice serve. Now, if you do your slice serve every single time, your opponent is very, very quickly going to adapt to the situation, stand a little bit wider, and essentially force you into doing more and more and more and more. Fantastic. If you've taken the other 4 tips and they're working for you, you may well be able to do more and more, which is great. However, easiest way to do it is to essentially just sprinkle the slice serve in whenever they have defended a different or expecting a different serve. So personally, I've got quite a good fast first serve, and I'm going to hammer that down until I see my opponent move back. As soon as they've moved back to defend my speed, they've essentially given me more angles to work with. It's at that point where I'm going to use my slice, and because I've got a bit more space, because they've moved back a little bit more, it doesn't have to be as slicey. So pick your moments, wait for your opponent to essentially predict something different and throw the slice serve in, sprinkle it in every now and again. Keeping your opponent off their toes is a very, very easy way of making your life easier. So rather than kind of go more, we're going to play a little bit smarter and use these things slightly more creatively. So tip number 5, pick your moments, wait for the opportunity and send that slice serve when your opponent least expects it. There we have it then. 5 very easy but very effective tips to make your slice serve that little bit more dangerous, that little bit more effective. Before your next go on court, just make sure you have a little revisit of this video and pick one of these things. You don't want to start chucking them all in at once. You're going to sort of create a big old mess deep in your motor engram, your slice serve motor engram. We call these things, these little tips, we don't particularly like the word tips, but if we approach them in a way of just editing what we are already doing, they're going to be far more effective. Unless, of course, your slice serve is an absolute shambles, in which case you're going to have to start from scratch and build the whole thing up. So if you feel like you're sort of just missing a little bit long all the time, that's probably going to be the contact point. If you feel like your slice isn't really moving very much, try tip 2. Get around the ball a little bit more. If you feel like you're just having to work really, really hard and it's a real conscious effort, tip 1 is going to make a big difference, getting that sensation right. Tips 4 and tips 5, really, really effective ways of using court space and essentially the tactics of the game to sort of make using the slice serve easier in the first place. Like anything else in tennis, if you keep trying to do the same thing over and over and over, you're only going to make life easier for your opponent. You want to be a little bit random, a little bit chaotic, but under your own power. You want to choose to do these things, sprinkle them in when you feel ready. So get out there, give it a try, and please do comment and report back on how you got on. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a thing from PH Tennis.